So you can see that I've finished up the corners with my thinner brush right here. And now I'm using a medium brush to create the lightest tint. This is going to be mostly white. This is a little too white. Here's the pure white. It has changed a little. You could use it if you wanted, but I'm going to add just a teeny bit more, not too much. We want to make a very light tint because later we're going to be painting things that we want to look like they're kind of white, but if you add a little color to it, it just gives it life instead of making it flat. Okay, so here's a really pretty lightest tint. This is going to be a good one. And I'm going to rest my hand on the paper. Be careful not to put it in the wet. And move the tip right here. Again, we're looking to build those skills to get a nice edge. Okay, and I'm going to move my objects out of the way so that I could turn my paper and always paint towards myself. So here it is. Dip again every time. Tip of the brush, top, inside, just move your fingers towards yourself. Dip again. You want it full but not dripping. Tip of the brush right here. You can control the paint by moving it around. Painting towards yourself is always going to be a good idea because you get more control. Sometimes you can go sideways, but it's always easier to control when you're going towards yourself. Let's move this out. Get that bunch right next to the edge. Then you can smooth it out. You can go this direction and the other direction so it's not so bumpy. And get those corners. If it's not too thick, it'll be really easy to paint over areas on the edges if you need to fix an edge later. Okay, so that's my pure and my lightest. Now I need to make two values in between them. So instead of painting them right after I mix them, I'm going to mix both next to each other. So I've got my lightest here, and now I'm going to add a little bit of red to make the next light. And this looks really good right here, but you can't put it down yet because it would be marbled. You have to scoop it kind of in a pile and then mix it around. Don't spread it all over your palette. Keep it in a nice little stack right here. That's a really nice next one. And we've got more than enough to fill that square. So I'm going to put the next one right over here. So I can go right over there. I'm being careful not to get all of my red so I can use it for the shades too. Okay, so let me scoop the rest of the white over here. So I'm using all of that up. Don't need to waste. Now we want this one to be fairly dark for a tint. So I could even make that first tint a little darker and the second tint a little darker and this one a little darker. As long as you get three very different tints, one very light, one medium, and one dark, then you're good. I'm getting close to using up all my red or mixing it with that white, so I can clean that out later. Okay, so this is a really pretty tint of red. And I'm going to leave that there. And wipe off on one of my paper towels. Then I'm going to go into my next lightest tint and do that in T2 with the same technique where you rest your fingers or your hand and you just move your brush towards yourself and turn. Rest your hand, tip of the brush here. Each time you dip, don't forget, a lot of the color wheels were very transparent. If you dip every time, your brush should look like this, full but not dripping. Put the tip of your brush on the top left, then just move your fingers. Later you're going to be able to go in and out in shapes. Let's move this in a little bit. I'm dipping again. You may not be able to see that. See how full my brush is. Tip, and then towards me. Now you could get up to 6 or 7 tints if you wanted to make more and more. I'm only requiring 3, but later you're going to do some gradation where you can make a lot of them. Okay, so now I've got this, and let's see, that could be smoothed out a little bit nicer. So I'm going to put this right here. We want to make the craftsmanship excellent on this practice sheet. By the time you're painting in your designs on our big paper, you're going to have really nice craftsmanship skills. Let's move this in. Okay, and I'm going to scoop this up so my brush is full but not dripping. I'm going to rest my hand, not in the paint. I better move this back up. Tip of the brush here and move towards yourself. All right, now that I'm looking at it, that first box is so super light. It's good to have one of those. And later we're going to paint our eyes, and you're going to have to use a very, very light tint of any color to make the white part of the eye. So that tint would be a great one. Now you can't use any water in here. It's just going to make it transparent. And you have to dip each time. I know I sound like a broken record, but most people didn't get that on their color wheels. Some people did. First time you do something, it's hard to remember everything. So dip each time. Tip of the brush right on the edge. You want to show that black line, but later you'll probably be wanting to fill in your lines. But you're going to decide which direction. You could fill them in on this shape on the outside or whatever you're painting on the inside. So now I've got tint 1, tint 2, and tint 3. Now I'm going to wash my brush and just use the red that doesn't have any white in it and mix it with black to make my 3 shades.